listening to the Ecosystem Approach show. I'm Jason.
And I'm Patricia. Tune in every Monday at 1 p.m. Pacific Time and 4 p.m. Eastern Time on Transformation Talk Radio.
We discovered that human potential is severely limited when you program humans like a machine, which is standard practice today for self-improvement.
The Ecosystem Approach teaches you how to uncover your infinite potential by using natural methods that are truly revolutionary. Join us now for the Ecosystem Approach show. Today, we're going to talk about tickers, which are the headlines that scroll at the bottom of a screen on a news program. We also see them in the stock market, where the prices of stocks are continuously scrolling as, quote, ticker across, a ticker across a screen. But we have a different perspective. Today's show is about an emotional ticker that scrolls across our consciousness. Some call this negative self-talk or fear or doubts. We see it as negative energy, and we'll explain. Stay tuned. We are married intuitives with over 20 years experience who created the Ecosystem Approach for you. This is much different because we see human beings as ecosystems that need to be restored instead of programmed. We show you how to take an energy approach for internal discovery that is rational, practical, and useful for everyday life. Jason, what is a ticker, and specifically, what is an emotional ticker?
So, like you said in the beginning, a ticker is information that scrolls across a screen,
right?
Usually in a news program. That's where most of us see it,
right?
If you're into the stock market, they have those tickers. They've had them for years. That go across the. If you've ever been at a stockbroker's office,
I actually have.
You see those tickers that go across the screen all the time. I think they started. I was going to look this up. I didn't have a chance. I think they come from ticker tape.
That's right.
And those usually were from Morse code. That when they
tick, 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 and that's what they did.
So it would print out what the message is, and people would just scroll that out.
Yeah.
So interesting trivia, but so what does it have to do with us today? Why are you listening today?
Right.
Because we noticed, and we just thought it was an interesting way of talking about it, that we get these emotional tickers, that all of a sudden we're doing something and we get this.
They're like messages.
You're going to fail.
Mm-hmm.
Or some of the strange ones. Why don't you just drive your car off the cliff right there?
Yeah.
You ever had that?
No, yeah.
Or that fire. Put your hand in that fire, see if it's really hot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Or put your hand on that burner, things like that. You know, those seem really strange and out of nowhere.
Well, I've actually seen people do things like that.
Yeah.
So yes.
And I'm sure little kids do it. That sort of thing. But so what is that?
Mm-hmm.
What makes people all of a sudden just think, okay, well, maybe I should do this or do that. That doesn't make any sense whatsoever.
Right.
We see people doing stuff like that all the time where in a criminal situation, they've said, I don't know what came over me.
Oh, yeah.
We've heard about that in crew tribes type stuff where someone stabs their spouse to death or that sort of thing.
I keep all the knives and scissors hidden.
So those things, those are emotional tickers too.
Yes, they are.
So whether that's really mild or something like it says, maybe you should make a comment about your boss's wardrobe today, and then you think, why did I do that?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Or to your spouse and say, oh my gosh, why did I say that? So what motivates those things? So we're going to talk about that. Oh my gosh, it's really, really important. So we see emotional tickers are just energies. Now, if you
mostly negative.
Yes, almost always negative. So I'm trying to describe it in a way that people can understand.
Okay.
We see that we have this like super highway that comes into our consciousness.
Mhm.
It's a pathway. So
Mhm.
imagine a super highway, a big thick wire, however you want to visualize it in your own mind.
Right.
And that wire carries both negative information and
Mhm.
positive information.
Mhm.
That wire or that pathway is connected to your essence,
Right.
which is there to support you, to help you, to tell you who you are authentically.
Mhm. Mhm.
But it's also connected to what we call that negative energy that's attached to your essence
That's correct.
that shouldn't be there.
Yes.
Um,
And how you can get rid of it is
the ecosystem approach.
there we go.
And it's sort of out of the mainstream because people don't think of, first of all, that they have an essence, and second of all,
Yeah.
that there could be negative energy attached to it.
Correct.
But when, you know, when you, whether you do something in slow motion, like I've done, marry a person, and then 10 years later, I realize, well, what was I
What was
thinking?
I thinking?
What was I thinking? You know, how could I
A
have been
little
so
late to the table.
how could I have been so stupid? You know,
Yeah.
So those are slow motion
Tickers.
tickers.
Yes.
But I know now that that was from negative energy that was attached to my essence,
Right.
and expressed itself as a form of neediness that compromised my
Okay.
my ability to be objective or to act in my own best interest, which my essence helps me to act in my own best interest.
Yes. Yes.
We've talked about this, and we've talked about what we call the 80%, which is we see that that everybody has a lot of negative energy that they come in with when they're born.
That's correct.
That's why babies have cancer. That's why, you know, childhood diseases, that's where they come from. It's already there.
Yes.
So, in fact, if you want to know more about this, go to our website, theecosystemapproach.org, sign up for our free section, and there's a whole 2-part article about that. It starts out in contact us and it ends in free stuff.
Okay, there you go.
So let's talk about this more.
Okay.
I mean, we've put a lot of time into our health, and often if we have pain or something, we believe that there's something wrong.
Right.
That's a ticker. Like, oh my gosh, I have this pain and wherever.
But the doctor said it was this, but I'm still having pain. Things like that.
Yes. Or you don't want to go to the doctor because you're afraid of what he might say.
Exactly.
You know, those are emotional tickers.
Yes.
Yeah. And people ask us, what about positive self-talk to replace the ticker?
You want me to answer that one? Okay. Yeah. Positive self-talk. I have to say, until I started the ecosystem approach, doesn't work. And the reason it doesn't work is because that positive self-talk takes a lot of energy, and it keeps you from seeing not only the truth about yourself, but it also keeps you stuck in the negative energy.
So in other words, listening about the truth of yourself as opposed to telling you what the truth of yourself is, which may not be the truth of yourself at all.
Exactly. But when you know your emotional story, when you start using the ecosystem approach and you start to see all the negative energies that are in your way, or feel the negative energies in your way, and you start removing them, the positive does come in, and it makes you go, why did I think that? Or why did I say that? Or how did I get around that one? It's really, really, really interesting, I think. And this isn't about playing with people's lives. I always use myself as an example first. And when I saw all of the negative energy, the first thing I thought was, how the blazes am I ever going to get rid of all of this? But I have done every single step, every single day. I'll say it that way. That's really the way I want to say it. To remove negative energy, I start with what's in front of me. And then when things come up, more of that ticker tape comes up, I remove it.
So here's the main point about positive self-talk.
That's right.
We see energy. How do we know this? You know, people ask us, well, how do you know that?
Yeah.
How do you know?
Yeah.
Everybody's saying you should use positive self-talk.
Right.
How come you guys say something differently?
Right.
How do we know that? It's because we see energy.
Yes.
We see when there's negative self-talk, there's negative energy.
Yes.
And positive self-talk doesn't change that energy.
No.
So
you have to remove the negative energy in order for it to become positive.
Here's the part that I just, I think this is really important.
Okay.
When you're doing positive self-talk, who are you talking to?
Yeah. Oh, good one.
I mean,
That's
who
a
are you
good
talking
one.
to? Because your
Yeah.
essence doesn't need positive self-talk. Your
No.
soul
No.
already knows who you are
Yes.
and what you're here to do,
Right.
and is, by definition, is supportive and wants to help you
Correct.
with motivation and to act in the world in the way that's authentic to you.
Yes, and also help you do your purposes that you came in here to do.
So when you're doing positive self-talk, who are you talking to? Well, you're talking to that negative energy.
Yes.
And that negative energy has a consciousness and is
Mhm.
motivated in a different way. We did a whole show about the negative energy, and
Right.
go back and look it up if you want to
Right.
understand it. But that negative energy doesn't just change its mind.
No.
You can't tell negative energy, well, you think I'm bad, but I think I'm great.
Right.
And it goes kind of back and forth. It's like having an argument with a 4-year-old or something. You
Yeah,
gotta
there's that.
you gotta clean your room. No, I don't. Yes, you do. No, I
Right.
don't. No, you do.
Exactly. All
And
right.
and that's as far as it usually goes.
So, Jason,
Let's do an emotional quick tip.
I was just going to say, let's do the quick tip.
Emotional tickers are thoughts that flash through our minds that seem like they come from nowhere. They are negative, scary, and even have the motive to block our progress in our lives.
Yes.
These negative energies have a motive and a consciousness that we see using our refined intuition. That's how
Correct.
we see it. It's not like
Yes.
we pull this out of the air. We seek bad things for they seek, those negative energies seek bad things for us, and usually the messages are lies that are designed to hurt us, block
Mhm.
us, and keep us from our forward movement.
Exactly. In the next segment, we're going to talk about how to see the difference between negative tickers and those thoughts that come from intuition and are motivated from our essence to help us. This is the Ecosystem Approach Show, unscripted, with Jason and Patricia, and you're listening to Transformation Talk Radio. This is the Ecosystem Approach Show with Jason, and I'm Patricia. And in this segment, we're going to talk about how to see the difference between negative tickers and those thoughts that come from intuition and are motivated from our essence to actually help us. Jason, how do you know the difference between those negative messages that seek to block us and harass us, and those that come from our essence that have a positive motive?
We get asked this a lot.
We do.
And people expect a formula and they want to know exactly.
Yeah.
Is this good or is this bad?
Right.
And so they want to be able to trust their perceptions completely.
Right.
But these expectations come from a programmed, machine-based world.
True.
It's not natural in how the world works.
That is correct.
It's not, the natural world doesn't work that way. It's full of ambiguity.
Right.
It's not black and white. It's a little bit of this and a little bit of that. And in this situation, you need this, but in that situation, you need this.
That. Yeah. That
And
kind of thing.
this is positive in this situation, but negative in this situation. It's full of ambiguity.
Right. Right.
So then what
how do you trust it?
Yeah.
Okay.
A ticker, and this is going to make it even more confusing.
Okay.
Something that goes across that says, "Oh my gosh, you have that pain." Maybe some of it says it's cancer, and then you should go see a doctor. Let's say all of a sudden you're doing something, you get a pain in your side. You say, "Oh my gosh, I'm maybe you're a cancer survivor," and most cancer survivors are just terrified of getting it again.
Yes, they are, because they've been through a form of not good stuff.
Yes.
I can't swear on the radio.
Yes. So it's been, so they say, okay, is that cancer? And should I go see a doctor? It's cancer and I go see a doctor. Well, part of that ticker might be absolute bunk, like it's cancer. It may not be cancer at all.
But the other part is that go see a doctor because might not be bunk.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
So how do you know? Well, it's going to be a complicated answer, but I think we can kind of address it.
Okay.
First of all, is to know yourself.
Yes.
Understanding a ticker for Patricia is different than a ticker for me.
Right, because my Enneagram type
Yes.
is a 4, and that 4 sees things emotionally first,
Yes.
then can gain objectivity and to use, and even indifference.
Right.
But for you, a 6,
6 gravitate toward fear,
that's right.
anxiety. So when it's about something else,
Mhm.
I can be pretty objective.
Yes.
So when Patricia says, "Oh, I think I'm having a heart attack," I can look at her and say, "Patricia, you're not having a heart attack."
Yes,
You know,
exactly.
because she's coming from a very emotional place. And when it's about her, it's easy. But when I remember driving down the road the other day, and this is how I got the idea for this show.
Okay. You didn't tell me this part, but go ahead.
Well, I got this ticker that said, "Oh, you're going to fail. All the things you've always wanted to do, you're going to fail." I thought, I thought about it for a minute. Said, "No, that's not right."
First off, I haven't failed until now. Why am I going to fail?
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. So I dismissed it.
Good.
But when you know your Enneagram type,
yeah,
that's the first step, because 6s are full of fears, insecurities, shame that says, I'm not doing it right, that sort of thing.
And I'm going to go back to my Enneagram type. One of the things I've learned through using the ecosystem approach and removing negative energy is when that ticker comes across and says, you have cancer, you failed, you've done all of these things, or you're not going to be successful. One of the first things that I will do is I will remove the false belief that my emotions always tell me the truth.
Yes.
It's a huge deal. And yet it's so simple. Okay, my emotions always tell me the truth. No, they don't. Into the processor they go. And it works.
Like a 9, for example, if a 9 got a pain and says, "You've got cancer, you should go to the doctor." A 9's, they want to create peace with themselves.
Right.
So they don't take action compulsively. That's their Enneagram type.
That's exactly right.
So they would dismiss all of it.
Yes.
Which may not be a good idea. So
Yes.
a 9 may get a lot of tickers from their essence that say,
Correct.
"You need to go see a doctor because
Right.
you have to deal with this," and they won't.
Yes.
It's totally different situation based on the Enneagram type. So
Exactly.
so you have to know your Enneagram type.
Okay.
You have to know yourself.
Mhm.
You can know the types of misinformation that your type gravitates toward.
Correct.
And
Which is quite wise.
yes. So, I think the best example of what we're talking about, I've got an example and a client who's no longer with us.
Yes.
She was older when she connected with me, and she had cancer when she connected.
That's right.
Well, was one of the reasons she wanted to work with me is she had a form of breast cancer. And I didn't find out till later, but basically she was told, and I don't think she really heard it, that they were going to use a form of infusion.
Oh, like chemotherapy type stuff. Okay.
To keep the cancer at bay, but it was really they didn't expect it to go away. It wasn't curative.
Okay.
It was to just minimize, to give her extra time.
Okay.
And I see that her emotional story was being abandoned by her father when she was young and left to deal with her mother, who was awful, who wasn't supportive, who wasn't mothering, wasn't nurturing. Right. So she was abandoned by her father, who was kind of a hero. He was a war hero.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I remember hearing that story.
World War II. So she constantly was looking for that man to come back
and save her.
And to save her.
Yes.
And she didn't really want to. She could talk about it, but she didn't really want to say that that's my emotional story. That's why I have the cancer. That's why things are going. And so she got better when she started working with me. But she wanted me to do all the work. She wanted me to do she wanted me to be the hero in her story. To be that man.
Another male hero.
Yeah. in that story.
Right.
And eventually, I think it was like 7 or 8 years, and she finally succumbed. And
Which was
I
very
think she could
sad.
have lasted longer if
So
you would have said, okay, this is my story. I'm going to start clearing this. But she would get those emotional tickers all the time.
Yeah.
You know,
Yes.
it's the cancer coming back. It's getting worse.
Right, right.
I don't want to go see the doctor because I'm afraid of what she'll
Right,
tell me,
right,
you know,
right.
all those things. And what we should have done is remove those negative messages,
Yes.
took them apart, and go back to your emotional story and say, okay, well, you know, how'd
Yes.
this come about? Let's
Right.
clear it.
Well, and you know, the thing when people don't want to do the work for themselves, they don't refine or develop refined intuition. They don't see the value in it. And when somebody else wants somebody to do the work that they should be doing, it doesn't work as well.
People have come to us all during the time that we've been doing this work. It's close to 25 years now.
Yes.
And they want us to be the hero. They want us to be the expert.
Yes.
And that's how we're trained.
Yeah,
In a
it's true.
programmed world,
That's exactly
you go to
right.
someone else who's an expert to help
Yes,
you with
that's right.
whatever.
That's right.
But what we do, and this makes a lot of sense just because energy work doesn't have a lot of credibility, is we
Yes.
want to teach you how to do it.
Correct.
So you're not coming to us for the information. You go within yourself
Yeah.
and say, what's true here?
Yes.
So we should define refined intuition.
Okay, go
That's
ahead.
a biggie. Refined intuition is when you remove the negative energy that's attached to your essence,
Mhm.
that comes from your emotional story, you start to see the world much more clearly.
Yes.
And
The good and the bad.
good and the bad.
Yes, that's right.
And how you lie to yourself,
All the time.
how you misperceive things.
Correct.
And that creates a refinement of your intuition. So
Yes.
when that information from your essence comes through, you say, oh yeah, I know that energy.
Yes.
Oh yeah. When it's negative from that dark energy
Yeah.
attached to you.
Yes.
Oh, I've heard that before.
Well, and when you start using the ecosystem approach, there's a power that you gain to gain and have the confidence to see, I'm going to keep this information, but I'm going to remove this other stuff.
Yes.
And then you start to gain power and confidence and clarity about not only who you are, but what to do about it.
We could take apart, for our clients and for ourselves, any emotional ticker and say, oh, it might take a while.
Sure.
But like when I got that message that said you're going to fail, you know, I said, oh, it first of all, it was like a gut punch.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Because it's like, oh,
right.
And then I thought, wait a minute.
Yeah.
You know, that's not right.
Yes.
You know, and then I said to that energy, get out of here.
Good.
And because I've heard that energy before. We're going to talk about that in the next segment.
Okay.
You know, but here's a quick tip for this segment.
Okay.
The best way to know the difference between intuition and dark negative energy, is to know yourself.
Mm-hmm.
The types of negative energy that you are prone to and how you normally react is part of your emotional story.
Correct.
Refined intuition comes from knowing your emotional story and clearing that on a constant basis.
Correct.
As you do that, you'll be able to see more triggers and the ways the ticker can flash messages to you that are probably false.
That is correct. In the next segment, we're going to talk about what to do when you get these emotional ticker messages and what to do about them going forward. This is the Ecosystem Approach Show, unscripted, with Jason and Patricia, and you're listening to Transformation Talk Radio. This is the Ecosystem Approach Show with Jason, and I'm Patricia. And in this segment, we're going to talk about what to do when you get these emotional ticker messages and what to do about them going forward. Okay, Jason, whether you get a few or a lot of ticker messages, what do you do about them?
You always need to take a breath and say, okay, what is this?
Mm-hmm.
Most of us get them, and we either we shove them down to some sort of programming, like, oh, that doesn't make a difference, and I'm just going to ignore it.
Right.
Which we shouldn't do. We're not suggesting that at all. Or that we need to take it really seriously, which you may not want to do either, but you need to evaluate it.
Exactly. And I was going to say those that whether you throw it away or you hold on to it, getting stuck in it is not the answer.
Yeah.
In other words, push it away so you can be objective about what you're looking at, whether the message is emotional or not.
Yeah.
And it's kind of interesting. And by the way, emotional messages for each one of us is different. If Jason gets the same emotional messages that I do, I guarantee you he can handle them a whole lot better than I
Or
can.
they mean something different.
That's right. That's
so
right.
so if we both had cancer and we both had a pain and said, oh, that's cancer coming back, it may not be for one of us, it may be something, oh, we better need to check that out. For the other person might say, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, exactly.
So
exactly.
It's very unique to the individual.
Correct.
But here's the thing that I think is really, really valuable.
Okay.
When you get a message and let's say you evaluate and say, oh, that's a lie. That doesn't make sense. It doesn't, that was definitely a negative energy coming at me with a bad motive. Memorize the energy. See if you can give that energy a name.
Okay.
You can call it whatever you want.
Sure.
And then see if that energy comes back. A lot of people get tickers and they never think about the energy itself and what it feels like.
Right. Oh yeah.
It feels, looks,
yeah.
I feel energy. Patricia sees energy. She's more of a seer. I'm more of a feeler.
Right.
We all perceive energies differently.
Yes. Because we're all different.
Yes.
Yeah.
And even though you're emotional, you have those, you have those feelings come up.
Right.
But it's hard for you to step away from it and evaluate
exactly and take that step backwards. I have a really, really good example. We live rather remotely, and as a kid, I received the message verbal often from my mother, and she would say to me things like, you're not the pretty one. You're never going to be as pretty as your sister, things like that. And so, of course, those are things that you take to heart. And
it's negative programming.
It's negative programming.
And that ends up to be negative energy that's attached to your essence.
That is absolutely correct. The other day, you and I, we actually got to go on a date, which was really nice. And I kind of like my husband, whether anybody's noticed or not. Anyway, we went out, and I remember coming back the other day thinking, oh, maybe my mother was right. Maybe, I'm not attractive, or I don't think that, that I'm attractive. And I have to tell everyone one of the things that I did. And by the way, that was a ticker, and it was loud, and it was all capitalized.
Yeah.
For me. And one of the things that I did was I did take a breath and I'm going to say an actual physical step backwards. And I realized that ticker tape, I have worked on it, but it's still not gone. And it
still comes up.
It still comes up, or not gone completely. And the worst thing is I keep believing that I have to bite into it, that I have to accept it for what it tells me. And it's not true. And it took me a few minutes, but I cleared it, and I removed that negative energy. And this time I actually told it, don't come back. I'm not going to bite into it.
Yeah.
And that was new for me after all of this time, but I was programmed in it over and over and over again.
Well, and what we're saying is that if you can get a sense of this voice,
yes,
this ticker,
yes,
what does it feel like? What does it look like?
Yes.
What does it have a certain energy about it?
Right.
It's funny with doing the work that we do. We sense people's energy. So when we talk to them, we hardly ever do face to face. We don't even do Zoom when we do sessions. It's usually just on the telephone.
Right.
But we feel people's energy.
Absolutely.
And I don't remember details about someone's life as much as I do details about their energy.
Your energy. That's right.
And I can feel the energy.
Right.
We've been talking a lot about astrology lately. Different different types: earth, water, air, fire. People that have sun signs that have those different types have a different feel to them. So when we say you should understand the feel of those ticker messages,
That's correct.
you can get a feel for, well, how does this feel to me?
Well, and I'm just going to jump in and say the ticker tape that was all capitalized to me basically said the balance of who you are is off
yeah.
when I step backwards. And so it was one of the things I asked to come in. I need that balance so I can have clarity about this.
Well, and here's something. I bet that ticker voice to you is always female.
Oh, excuse me. It was my mother and the way
Yes.
she felt about
Yes.
herself that she put on me.
Projected on you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And first off, talk about unfair, but also she was wrong.
Yes.
And it's really hard when you're a child to define that your parents or someone in authority is wrong.
Well, and that becomes programmed. That
That's
becomes
right.
programmed negative energy that is attached to you. That's one of the
Yes.
reasons it gets there.
Yeah.
For me, most of my emotional ticker, like I was talking about, you're going to fail,
Yeah.
is male, because it comes from my dad.
Mhm.
See, now if you don't know your emotional story, that's where these ideas get lost
and can really harm or block you from your purposes and where you're supposed to be going.
All the experts out there that say, well, if you have this problem, if you have this negative self-talk,
Right.
replace it with positive self-talk.
Right.
Nah, phony. Doesn't work. It's
Yeah.
Because we see energy, we see that it doesn't work.
Yes.
And once you start to see energy doing the ecosystem approach, then you can start to unravel these things, and not only unravel them, but then truly remove it. When you can identify the energy and say, for example,
okay,
it would be, and to eliminate the messages I get about my looks that come from my mother's negative programming.
Yes.
You can clear that. That's very specific.
And by the way, I'm throwing it away.
Or you could do something similar and say, okay, and to eliminate my feeling that I don't look attractive enough when I go out with other women.
Yes.
I mean, those comparisons, those triggers with women and getting those tickers about.
That's a form of competition that has zero value.
Well, she always compared you to your sister.
That's exactly
right.
He
set up the competition and then jealousy.
All along.
So you could clear and to eliminate the comparison between me and other people.
Yes, exactly.
I mean, that just sets you up to have a bad reaction. So, take a breath. Yeah. And if this makes sense to you, if you're saying, oh my gosh, I should do this, go to our website right now, theecosystemapproach.org.
I agree.
And you'll get the clearings for today. It'll be written out for you. And we're going to talk about how to clear in just a second.
By the way, it makes it so easy.
Yes. And there's a lot of content there that you'll get, and listen to our show every week, because we try and teach you every week how to use energy based on using the ecosystem approach, because it's so much more relevant. There's a lot of people out there that are doing energy work that try and program you, give you information that to us seems
relevant. Yes, isn't relevant
or even helpful, or even based on the way you're designed. The whole ecosystem approach is about how you're designed as a human being. And we know that because we can just see it.
Yeah.
It's not a secret.
No.
When you have intuition, how people are designed is relevant for everybody.
Right. So
should we do just a quick about how to clear?
That's what I was going to say. Yes, absolutely.
It's basically some words. You can be standing, sitting, laying down, walking. We like to do two things at once when we do clearing, like we'll be walking or in the shower, or doing something mindless like dishes or raking leaves.
Oh yeah,
it's too soon for that, but oh my gosh,
it's coming up.
Yeah, those kind of mindless activities. So and then we say the words, and those are all written out on newsletter. So go
Mhm.
there and sign up right now, theecosystemapproach.org, and get that newsletter. So it's written out, and we say to eliminate. So in your imagination, gather up all those feelings, the
Pick 'em up.
barriers,
Yes.
the veils and
All of
illusions,
those things.
and blow them into the processor.
And I like to put the processor on the left because I see that negative energy moves easier to the left. But if that doesn't work for you, it's okay.
You can put it any
You
place.
can put it any place you like. It's not like it's a hard and fast rule. It's
Sierra's
just
putting up a picture of the processor on the screen right now.
That is correct. Then after we do that, and we're going to go through a whole thing, then we're going to activate life force energy. And we're going to use that life force energy, by the way, the most powerful positive energy. And we're going to activate it. We're going to have it come in through the top of our head, go all the way to the tips of our toes. We're going to stop it right there. We're not going to take any negative energy and put it into the earth. We're going to ask it to turn around, and we're going to blow out any negative energy that's left over, because we want what's in your best interest as well as ours. Stay tuned. When we come back, we'll talk about evaluating those ticker messages so I can know what's true or what's not. This is the Ecosystem Approach Show with Jason and Patricia, and you're listening to Transformation Talk Radio. This is the Ecosystem Approach Show with Jason, and I'm Patricia. And in this segment, we're going to talk about evaluating those ticker messages so I can know, so you can know what's true and what's not. Jason, are you ready to get started?
Here we go.
Okay.
And if you want all the words to this written out for you so you can do it over and over and over again, which is the way you should do it.
Absolutely.
Go to our website right now, theecosystemapproach.org. Sign up for our free section.
Yes.
Here we go. I direct all my resources in all dimensions to eliminate the veils and illusions so I can see that emotional tickers can be lies with bad motives to hurt and block me.
Take a breath and blow it out. And I don't know if anybody's noticed, if you're watching this, I definitely don't throw this on Jason. I throw it behind me where I have my processor, and that's because I don't want to throw any negative energy on anyone, especially my husband.
Well, and we see negative energy, so we're conscious about where we put it.
Absolutely, and we should. That's one of the reasons to use that processor.
Because it processes negative energy and it comes out neutral.
That's correct.
Helping
ourselves and the environment.
We've heard people put it in the ground. That there's only so much ground you have, in this day and age, especially.
Well, I've heard that people just throw it away. Well, so you do all this work and then you get up and
or the end of the universe. Yes. I don't know where that is, but it's building up there. So
yes, exactly. No thanks.
So processing is so much better. So here we go.
Okay, so I'm going to make it a little bit shorter.
Okay.
All right. So and it goes like this: and to eliminate the barriers so I can see that the majority of tickers are negative, bad, or evil energies. Pick that up. You don't need it, and throw it away.
And to eliminate the barriers so I can see that your emotional story is the key to understanding and evaluating a ticker.
That's correct. Take a breath and blow it out. And to eliminate the intense feelings of worry, anxiety, and stress that I have that comes from the same place as do the negative tickers, meaning or the negative energies. Take a breath and blow it out.
And to eliminate the barriers so I can see that negative emotional tickers come from bad energies, negative energies, dark energies that are attached to our essence.
That is correct. Take a breath. That's a lot of baggage to carry around.
Yes.
You don't need it. So, and to eliminate the barriers so I can see that refined intuition is the best way to understand and remove the negative energy from judgmental and critical. Am I saying that correct? Critical emotional tickers.
Yes.
Nice and easy. Take a breath. You don't need them. Throw them away.
Like you're wrong, or you're the ugly one, or you don't look good.
Here, let's clear that one.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
And to eliminate any feelings of fear and terror that I have that comes from emotional tickers that are lies, typically.
Take a breath. and to eliminate the barriers so I can see that I have complete power over my emotional ticker using the ecosystem approach. I love that one. Nice and easy. Take a breath and throw it away.
And to eliminate any feelings of fear and hurt and shame that I have, that triggers that triggers the emotional triggers that can be removed.
Take a breath and blow it out. And to eliminate the veils and illusions so I can see that working directly with my essence has messages for me that are helpful, supportive, and enabling instead of the negative tickers that hurt, block, and sabotage me. Now, I realize there was a lot in that, so take a moment, go to the tips of your toes, pull up all of that negative energy that's blocking you from positive messages. Throw it away. Good.
And to eliminate any embarrassment that I have about using energies and working with energies because of the cultural prejudice and judgment that is not based on fact and can create negative tickers.
Nice. Yes. Take a breath. And to eliminate the barriers so I can see that developing my refined intuition and my connection to my essence is the best way to overcome my negative emotional tickers. Take a breath. And to eliminate, I'm going to do one more.
Okay.
And to eliminate any fear that I have that says I can only do my life from a programmed way, and that the ecosystem approach doesn't work, when the truth is, yes, it does.
Energy works, and we know how to use it.
That's correct.
Because we see it.
That's right. Take a breath and blow it out. Should we activate some life force?
Let's do that.
All right, here we go. Follow along, everyone. I direct all my resources in all dimensions to activate life force so I can use life force. I can call it in and ask it for objectivity and creativity and the clarity that I need. Stop it at the tips of my toes. I'm going to ask it to turn around right now so I can remove negative energies that don't belong to me or I don't need anymore. Take a breath. Stop it. Blow it out. Jason?
And to activate life force so I can have hope to always have power over my bad, negative, and destructive emotional tickers.
Correct.
Take
Nice
a breath.
and easy. Pull it in. And get rid of those bad, negative, destructive emotional tickers. And to activate life force so I can trust that working with my energies is effective to overcome the negative tickers. I love it. Pull it in and blow it out.
And to activate life force so I can decide to focus on my emotional story so I have power over my bad and negative tickers.
Pull it in and blow it out. And to activate life force so I can be happy and healthy, have clarity, awareness, and objectivity, have the ability to have the clarity to see objectively what the emotional tickers are for me, so I don't have to be a victim to negative energy now and in the future or anymore to anything. Nice and easy. Pull it in and blow it out. I want to add one more to that.
Sure.
And to activate life force so I can have laughter and love and fun, great health, and the clarity that I do need to see how to get all of those things that I need and want in my highest and best interest, starting right now. Pull it in. Use that life force energy and blow out any negative energies left over. Jason, what are we going to talk about next week?
Working with other people's energy.
Oh,
You know, we had a listener request that,
oh, we did.
and
Okay.
we're going to do that, and how, you know, and also understanding what's ethical.
Oh,
You know,
I like that.
there's been a lot of talk about that. We've had a lot of talk about that,
Sure.
and we have a perspective that I think you'll find unique and interesting.
Yes, exactly.
About that. I think that it can be very, very powerful.
Okay.
But um, it's, the question is, should you do it, and should you even try,
Mhm.
and when you should do it and when you shouldn't.
Right.
You know, when we say you shouldn't do it or you should do it, it's usually based on making sure that you take care of yourself first. You always
Right.
have to take care of yourself first. We've had so many people come to us and say, you've got to take care of my spouse's energy.
Yeah.
That's the whole problem. It's not me. It's
Right.
it's their energy.
Well,
They're
and, I'm just going to jump in and say, one of I remember some of the first time that I um, helped change the energy for a situation that I was in was because this other person was actually taking my energy
Yeah.
and didn't care and wasn't even aware that this person was doing this. And that is not acceptable.
Well, and that's a good example, because
Mhm.
if someone's taking your energy, you wouldn't start with them. You start with yourself.
Exactly. How to protect you.
Yes, how to keep that from happening.
Exactly.
What is it about your emotional story that allows you to have your energy taken by that other person?
Exactly. And that was a really big lesson
Yes.
for me. And to this day, I use very much the same thing. I use the ecosystem approach to do that.
Well, working with other people's energy can be a really valuable tool.
Yes.
If it's used correctly.
Correct.
And it's not like there's a rule book about using it correctly, but it's
No.
based on having your priorities correct, based on your
Yes.
based on the ecosystem approach, and knowing who you are at the level of your essence.
Right. So
if this show touched you today and you think, oh my gosh, I've got all these emotional takers, I need to get rid of those, go to our website right now, sign up for our free section.
Mhm.
All we ask for is your email address. We never sell that. We never get rid of
Correct.
it. We never abuse it. We don't spam you, any of that.
Right.
But you'll get the weekly clearings,
Mhm.
and listen to the show every week. That'll
Yeah.
help you.
Yeah.
If you're interested in this energy stuff, listen to our show every week. We've done it so that we've created so that it can give you information.
Right. Information, and you can make your life better with that information.
Exactly.
Yes. I love
Exactly.
that part. So Jason, what about Facebook?
You can always go to our Facebook page. We have all of our shows there that are
Mhm.
recorded, the videos of
Mhm.
them,
Okay.
theecosystemapproach.org.
I love that. We'll connect next week, Monday at 1 p.m. Pacific and 4 p.m. Eastern Time. This is Transformation Talk Radio, and you're listening to the Ecosystem Approach Show with Jason and Patricia.
Remember, your ecosystem is the most important one in the world.
Thank you for listening to the Ecosystem Approach Show with Jason and Patricia. I'm Patricia. Tune in every week as we discuss practical ways to apply the ecosystem approach and develop your potential to live your life on your terms. For more information, visit our website at theecosystemapproach.org.